All right, so today is March the 11th, and just want to remind you all, tomorrow is Spring Forward, and we are advancing 1 hour. So it means that for the folks in Brazil, next time we start this meeting is going to be 5 p.m. your time, since there is no daylight saving in Brazil anymore. UK, it's going to be on the 26th, same as in Austria, Mexico, April the 2nd. So just a reminder. So tomorrow we will set our clocks 1 hour ahead. So for today, like I was saying earlier, I asked Luis to perform this prayer meditation, like 3 to 5 minutes. So we have had some news of good friends passing, not only because of them, but I think the whole world is in need. So let's elevate our thoughts, invite the guides of this group, the guides of each one of us to be here with us, the high spirits. And so let's concentrate and send some good vibration to the ones in need. So Luis, I'm gonna play this video. Let me know if it's too loud. Is that
Okay.
good?
Yes. Dear Lord, we've had most brilliant teachings for many thousands of years. And these days, we've been living the times where the evidence of the afterlife has been growing in our hearts, in our minds, with not only beliefs, but with rational explanations, the explanations we need because we grew up. Humanity has grown up. And on the other hand, many of us still persist on denying the truths of life. And we understand that many things we've been living in humanity these days have to do with this denial. So I'm going to read a prayer from the book Liberation by Chico Xavier. In this prayer, the spirit guide goes on like that. Lord Jesus, our divine friend, there are always those who pray for the persecuted, but very few remember to pray for the persecutors. Wherever we go, we hear prayers on behalf of those who obey, but we rarely hear prayers for those who command. There are many who pray for the weak so that they may be helped in time, but few are the souls that implore divine aid for the strong so that they may be well guided. O Lord, your justice never fails. You know those who wound as well those who are wounded. You do not judge according to the standard of our capricious desires, for your love is perfect and infinite. You do not incline yourself only to the blind, the sick, and disheartened. For at the right time you help those who cause blindness, infirmity, and discouragement. If it is true that you save the victims of evil, you also seek out sinners, the unfaithful, and the unrighteous. You did not despise the boastfulness of the doctors of the law, but talked lovingly with them in the temple of Jerusalem. You did not condemn the wealthy, but blessed their useful endeavors. In the home of Simon, the proud Pharisee, you did not scorn the wayward woman, but helped her with your fraternal hands. You did not forsake evil doers, but accepted the company of two thieves on the day of the cross. If you, O Master, the Immaculate Messenger, proceeded thusly on earth, who are we, indebted spirits that we are, to condemn one another? Light within us the clarity of a new understanding. Help us see our neighbors' suffering as our own. When tormented, make us feel the difficulties of those who torment us, so that in your name we may overcome all obstacles. Merciful friend, do not leave us without guidance, relegated to the limitation of our own sentiments. Help us with our wavering faith. Disclose to us the common roots of life, so that we may finally understand that we are all brothers and sisters. Teach us that apart from sacrifice, there's no other law that can enable us evolve towards divine worlds. Enable us to understand our redemptive drama. Help us to transform hatred into love, because in our condition of inferiority, we only know how to transform love into hatred. When your will for us changes, our hearts are smitten and our feet wounded on the long journey due to our incomprehension. And that is why our minds aspire to climes of true peace, with the same affliction that we weary traveler in the desert yearns for pure water. O Lord, infuse us with the gift of helping one another. You helped those who did not believe in you. You watched over those who did not understand you. You reappeared to the disciples who forsook you. You bequeathed the treasure of your divine knowledge to those who forgot and crucified you. When compared with you, why would we, miserable worms in the dirt before our celestial star, be afraid of extending generous hands to those who do not yet understand us? And that's why we think of those who are leaders on this world nowadays. A very dramatic moment of humanity. We still have those who fight for the power that can lead them to very disastrous situations in spirit. So that's why we are praying for them today. Those who make wars, those who want to play God, sometimes without knowing the right consequences of their deeds, because they need, as any one of us need, your help, your guidance. And then here goes our prayer to those who passed away, friends of ours, people who need this moment all the support of the spirits from the other side. Thank you, Lord. So be it.
And so be it. Thank you, Luis. Thank you so much. After this, I will talk about some of the impressions I had. All right, so folks is still following the same idea. We cannot solve our problems with the same level of thinking we used when we created them. So today I bring some notes, some messages, and here it is. It's going to be a quiz to the group. So I would like you guys to let me know which spirit says the following message. I'm not interested in what you say your religion is. I'm only interested in what compassion you reveal to those in pain, how well you listen, what truth you live by, what gentleness you show, what love you convey, and above all, what service you render. These are the qualities of an evolved soul, and the only things that truly matter. Does anybody know who said that? Not a clue?
Silver Birch.
That's a good guess. Actually, he was this guy, the chief white feather sitting bull, when he was still alive. But he's one of the descendants from Sitting Bull. And I brought this because I thought this note was so high level, so elevated, and such a wisdom in those words. And how many times we listen or we read the spirits saying the same thing, right? And so over and over and over, we have higher beings coming and telling us these messages. And okay, second question, who said this? All major religious traditions carry basically the same message, that is love, compassion, and forgiveness. The important things is they should be part of our daily lives. Any guess? No? It was actually the Dalai Lama who said that. And so as you can see, what we are studying in the spirits books is no different than what so many other cultures and, religions or philosophies or, doctrines, whatever, as long as they are based in love, compassion, forgiveness, service, then it is good for our evolution, for our progress, right? So just something for you to think about. So we start today's meeting. Last time we were still studying law of progress of societal legislation, and we stopped at the question 795, what causes the instability of human laws? And the answer, during barbaric times, laws were made by the strongest, who established them to their own advantage. Therefore, as human beings have acquired a clearer understanding of justice, these laws have had to be modified. Human laws will become more stable as they approach true justice, meaning as they represent everyone and are in harmony with natural law. And then the comment from Kardec. But so for now, then the next question then is 796. Is the severity of criminal laws necessary for society as it stands today? Comment, or it's something. Go, Giles. Say it.
Anna.
Well, there's a short answer and there's a long answer. The short answer is yes. And the longer answer says those with more money get more justice. And that's always been the way.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a long time coming before people actually include spiritual law in society's law. It's an attempt that's going on right now, but we get precious close to politics and fat white racists, which which do not have a good track record, whether or not they're members of a church. In fact, it's probably worse if they're members of a church. Sorry, Maria, your turn.
Thank you, Giles. Maria, please.
Thank you, Giles. Anna, about the last question, 7, wait a minute.
95?
Yes. I was chatting about this theme.
This
and
topic?
This topic, that all right. And let me see where I put my comments. Okay. Wait a minute, please, guys. I prepare one commentary. All right. Wait a minute, please. I need to read what I think about to speak with you. My English is not very good.
Can you speak louder, Maria? Mais alto?
Well, I will try. You are listening me better now?
Yes.
Yes, I think that is my phone. Okay, let's go. We have here in Brazil an estadual federation about the juristas. How I can say it in English? Federação Brasileira de Juristas. How I can say it in English?
Jurisdiction, state jurisdiction.
Federal.
Spirit. Federação Espírita
Oh,
de Juristas.
And magistrates.
magistrates. Yeah.
Yes.
Spiritist magistrate.
Federation of Magistrates. So,
Yes, and I was reading an article about this question, and I find a little piece of this article that I want to share with you. They say that the legal instructions are the underivative reflection of the moral advance of backwardness of a given society. I don't know if I pronunciate correctly, backwardness. That's right?
Backward.
Atraso.
Backwardness.
Yes. In this sense, the history of the justice, about the laws of justice, is also the history of reasons prevailing over barbarism. In the moral evolution of the terrestrial earth, human laws were adapting to the new times and approaching the divine law, getting rid of the authoritarian staleness.
Okay.
Okay, and yesteryear. Always under the guidance of the superior spirits, who allowed the evolution of legal instructions according the moral advancement of inhabitants of the planet. Long ago, the law legitimized slavery, war, and conquest, and many other practices that today shock the conscience of common men. Then they conclude that such rights represent legally the guarantee that every human being is equal to the other, and that we all have a duty to act towards each other in a spirit of fraternity that will put humanity on the path of progress. That's right, path?
Yeah.
Okay. I think that is very interesting conclusion, because the people that write this article are
magistrates.
Magistrates, yes. They are spirit, but they are magistrates, and they live with the the worst part of humanity that made violence, crimes, and etc. Then I think that they have a good point of view.
Yeah. Thank you, Maria. Luis or Livia, you guys have.
Thank you. Speaking of this stuff, remember that some psychologists who are spiritists here in my town in Southeast Brazil, they are very glad to see how neuroscience is kind of matching some doctrines, psychological doctrines, right? And, you know, spiritism and spiritualism, when guided by science, which means exactly what the text is saying about natural laws. And many things now neuroscience is unveiling about human behavior match what the gospel says and what the spirits say, what everything that is superior recommend, right? So I think this is something that can be a faster step to a next level of good laws on earth, because science will play a very important role in the sense. Of course, true science, right? And to get into the true science, we need to, you know, work harder to make the paradigm change from materialist science to spiritual science.
To spiritual science, yeah.
Yes,
yeah. Thank you, Luis. So Luis, I think you were the last one with a comment. So would you please read the answer for us?
During barbaric times, laws were made.
Oh, no, sorry. We were. Yeah, this is
the question again is the severity of criminal laws necessary for society as it stands today? A depraved society requires more severe laws, but your laws, unfortunately, are designed to punish wrongdoing after the fact, rather than eliminating the source of bad behavior. Only education can reform humankind, and then it will no longer require such harsh laws.
And to the point of what you were saying and Maria was saying, so what kind of education we think that we still need?
Yes, we need the education based on the natural laws, and the spiritual laws take part in this game, right?
Exactly.
Without I think the society, we are in this turmoil situation because we have been overlooking the idea of spirit for more than 1,000 years, right? And this thing, it comes to an extent that humanity is really sick. We are really sick, and criminality is just rocketing, things like that, because we persistently say, no, spirit doesn't exist. I was talking to a friend of mine. She is in the United States. She's not well there. She's younger. She's been through very hard moments, but it's very difficult for her to remember that there is spiritual treatment. Yes, and no, she needs a spiritual treatment, and she needs to understand that she is under influence of not very nice energies. And when you do remember this, you can make things much easier, right? That's why we make those spirit release circles in Brazil. I don't know what our country, where we would be if without these spirit release circles in our country, because they together with psychiatry, psychology, and medicine, they play a very important role in the healing of thousands of people in this country.
And it's so easy for us to misinterpret what this message is saying, because when we think about education, we think about reading the books and knowing all the knowledge, but from the material perspective, and not really doing our homework in terms of inner transformation, right? So if we just look from a materialistic point of view, the word education, we might end up being misled, right? And
Early, and we have.
and we have, exactly, yeah.
That's why we are where we are, right?
Mhm.
Okay, I think Maria. and
Maria,
Mauricio.
please, yeah,
Are you listening me?
yes.
Okay. And spirituality and education is capable of presenting significant results beyond the teaching and learning process. Working love and faith in the sense of hope in the school environment, that's right, environment, okay, is preparing for life. It's very important to prepare the children and the youngers to preparing for life, regardless of religiosity, all right?
Yeah.
To educate the spiritual dimensions of the human beings is to build a human value, to build human values for an ethics of justice, solidarity, and respect for difference. And this last respect of difference is very important nowadays, because many people are assumindo, how can I say it in English?
Assume?
Yes, very different positions in the society. And we need to develop a mental and creative potential and awareness of being conscious, belonging and transcending. We need to change our mind, our feelings, to transcend the difference we are living with nowadays.
Yeah.
And spiritual is like to the maintenance and physical, mental, and social health. If you persist and if you believe that you can change yourself, you can stay more stronger and calm in front of the troubles and the difficulties, and you every find the solution in our lives. Then I think that spiritual education for us in this moment in earth, that we have many razão desenvolvida, how I can say it in English?
Develop reasoning.
Well, yeah.
Reasoning. Yes, it's important for us to develop a spiritual education that is linked with our feelings.
Thank you, Maria. So you tackled a very good point. We have to start this from early on with the children and balance emotion and ethics, moral values, and spiritual values as well. Thank you. Mauricio or Gracia, you guys?
Yeah, I just have a minor comment. on the last sentence of that response, that only education can reform humankind, which is correct. But I think one of the issues we have is to, to start applying this education younger, when people are, kids, children. It has been done in the past, and I've seen this typically on religious classes in schools. For example, you go to a Catholic school, you get a course about religion. Even at the university, religion 1, religion 2, religion 3, religion 4.
Yep.
And I think the issue here is, because it's normally linked to a religion, that creates an issue, because there are different religions and different opinions. So this education to reform humankind has to be, in my opinion, detached from religions, so it can, encompass everything.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and that's why I love the teachings from the books from Allan Kardec, because embraces everything. It doesn't matter what religion you adopted. As long as, again, is based on love, compassion, forgiveness, then we should be in a good path, right? Luis, please.
Yes, I do agree with Mauricio, and that's why Allan Kardec, he painstakingly used to say that Spiritism was not a religion, not a new religion, although, of course, it can have religious consequences, because we deal with the afterlife teachings, for example. But I'll give you an example of something that is happening today. Today we see priests going under treatment with psychologists and getting good results. Why? Because psychologists are not from another religion. But these priests could have been helped by Spiritism if Spiritism hadn't become, in some people's minds, one different religion. Understand what I mean?
Yep.
So, because we're studying natural laws, we're not studying another religion, right? So that's why it's very important for us that science nowadays, and good scientists, open-minded scientists, are researching about the afterlife and are bringing the evidence. And it's so important to have this work by Allan Kardec with this a very good criterion to approach those things and not to get lost in far-fetched realities. You understand? So that's it. I do agree with this need of this new understanding. And of course, there will be a long way to go there, and still to get there, right, with this kind of knowledge.
Yeah. Thank you, Luis. Hi, Sis.
Yes, to go on with what Luis was saying, that last night I was in a webinar with a very distinguished psychiatrist who was talking about the soul. And that was really very, very unusual and very good. It wasn't religion, but it was a consciousness, the soul, that he was combining with psychiatry.
Yes, I see. And I think what happened here in my country was that the evidence of mediumship in Brazil has been so high for such a long time that now we have these Spiritist Magistrate Society, Spirit Psychologist Society, Spirit Medical Doctor Society. Not because they did understand the value of for example, the Spiritist therapy for example, spirit release meetings. So many scientists, so many psychologists in Brazil, when they have a patient, they say, look, a kind of patient, your problem, I can help up to this moment. From now on, you need a Spiritist center. From now on, you need a spirit release meeting. Because there's evidence, or there has been evidence for more than 100 years how much things work. So of course these things go changing, but in Brazil it's not so uncommon anymore to see psychologists speaking about the need of spirituality. And even in schools like medical schools and places like my town, a big city, there is the discipline, science and spirituality already being taught in several universities. Thank God,
Yeah.
things go on slowly changing, you know.
Yeah, the number of evidences now is so high that it's very hard to deny, right? The existence. Thank you, folks. So the following question is 797. How can human beings be led to reform their laws? I think somebody, I think it was Giles or somebody mentioned already. Any comments there? So the,
Of course, there's comments there. How can human beings change their law? Well, the fat white racists have to get old and die. And then their children have to get
Don't
old and
be
die. And then their
judgmental.
children have to get old and die. And then by then we can start getting some reform. And that is 210 years from now.
No,
So
Giles,
don't hold
sorry.
Come on, be
No,
more
no.
optimistic.
Hyacinth, I thought you said we were all going to hell in a handbasket. And
I
I am,
have never said that.
no,
Never,
I know you didn't
because
say
I
that.
don't believe it. Yeah.
No, neither do I, of course. But sometimes you say that morals are getting worse instead of better.
Yes,
Then we are going
absolutely.
to hell in a handbasket, aren't we?
No, it has
Okay.
nothing to do with hell. It has about life on this earth that we are living among
Okay.
our own people and showing compassion to people
Mhm.
today. I'm not interested in the afterlife. That will come. I'm living about now.
Mhm. Alrighty. Thank you, folks. Maria, you had your hand raised.
Yes. I want to share with you that I saw a desenho animado, how can I say it in English?
Cartoon.
Yes, about soul. It's a very interesting movie.
Oh, so the movie, the cartoon
Yes.
movie.
Yes, she wants to find a way to stay forever on the school of life. Along this journey,
Mhm.
they discovered to be great friends, and even more important, they gradually see what really makes a difference in life. The little moments when we feel good and happy to be alive. And I think that if the Disney make a movie about soul, this theme is
Stop it.
this topic is permeando.
So folks out there in Disney is grasping the idea somehow.
Yes, in many sectors of our society. It's
Mhm.
very interesting. But
Yeah.
about this question, how can we reform of human laws be thought about? I think that is transforming the individual, the people, me and the other one, who is the cell of human society. I think that the humanity in Earth can be compared by a body, and we are the cells of this body. If we stay good, the body will stay too. Yeah? The self-transformation is mentioned here, and is a continual process of self-knowledge, of our spiritual intimacy, and progressively modeling ourselves of the Christian's experience in our sense of our existence. Then I think that we need to see inside of us, to think about how we can react of the things of life, how I can react with my husband, with my wife, with my sons, daughters, my neighbor, when I'm driving my car, how I can, how I'm driving when the people make wrongs and about it. I think that the self-transformations is the only way we can stay better. And if we stay better, each one of us, and we can influence the another one beside us, we can change the society. Not quickly, not
Yeah,
now,
suddenly,
yes,
but yeah.
but if you make the difference in your in your
Own life.
own life, we can do this mudança,
Change.
change. We can do this. I think
Yeah.
this.
Thank you, Maria. Gloria?
I think my experience has been that I was raised to believe that I was a body with a soul instead of a soul and a body.
Nobody.
And I think that that emphasis hinders us in terms of progressing spiritually. There was a story on NPR today about a prison where the lifers, the people who will never get out, and some of them in their early 30s. When the new kids come in, some of them teenagers who aren't lifers, they do an intervention and they're big brothers for them, and they say, you mustn't believe what society taught you, that you're garbage, that you're worthless, that you have no future. Most of these are young minority men. And get them turned around in their thinking and in their souls to value themselves, because the things that you put up, even I can have compassion for others, but it's the tough thing is compassion for myself. And I think these young people who are going into prison because they were taught that, because churches teach that, because the more you make, the more they get. So they teach you there's no sin in materialistic accumulation. That's a good thing. It shows that you must be doing what Jesus wants and you're being rewarded. And so this whole thing of materialism and lack of compassion for self, and especially these young men who've done something stupid, stolen something maybe, and committed a crime, and they're in prison, and their big brothers who are lifers are saying to them, until you have compassion for yourself and realize that you're a soul with a body and not the other way around, that when you get out, there's so much recidivism where the prisoners end up going back because they're going back into the same environment with the same societal emphasis on materialism, and it just doesn't work. And I just thought it was a marvelous program that they had big brothers to get them turned around while they're in prison, so that when they come out, they don't come back. And the other thing that was on the news today that was just amazing was Washington, D.C., the District of Columbia. It doesn't have any representation in government. And it had laws. It had 450 pages of laws that all the council members, all the judges, all the prosecutors, all the city people got together, and for years they worked on revising it so it was more humane, so that the laws were more humane. But it's got to be approved by the Congress because it's not a state.
Mm.
Because it's an election coming up. When it got to the Congress, the Republicans said, oh, that's woke bull. And so the Democrats all jumped in with the Republicans and said, well, then we're not going to vote for it. So after all these people came together and took these 150 or 200-year-old laws and revised all of them so that they made sense and they were humane and they were just sentences and realistic fines, then the president of the United States vetoed it because it's an election year. So that's an example of where everybody came together to revise the laws, but because of politics and power, it got rejected. It got vetoed when
Yes.
everybody came together and agreed to it. So yes, the points that were made about education are very important. And isn't it sad that the education about self-compassion and waking up to our spirituality is going on by people with life sentences in prison?
Yeah, I hear you. So regarding to what you just mentioned, so what do you think in this sentence when it says the circumstances will change based on the influence of more advanced individuals? So who are those individuals? Who they are? And how they got to know the things that will change our society or will influence our society.
I think
Please.
they're all in Brazil.
Yeah, go ahead. Huh? They're all in Brazil. We wish. No. Luis, what do you think?
Look, I was just addressing something about what Gloria said very well.
Mhm.
Look, and for many years, I was a director responsible for youth groups in spirit centers in my town. And whenever you wanted to make it more profound in terms of study with the youngsters, the consequences were sometimes parents coming up to me and saying, look, my son used to go out at night and drink a lot. Now he's not doing that. There's something wrong. My son now, he wants to spend the weekend inside a spirit center taking care of poor people. What the heck are you doing to my son's mind?
Good stuff.
Yeah. So things are not that easy. Not that easy indeed. That's exactly. And this is inside the spirit center. We're not talking about outside, some places of a university, for example. No. Sometimes parents came up to me and complained
It's hard
that
to
their children
believe. Yeah.
were not behaving as,
You
as
expected.
the demands of society. And the spirits, from Allan Kardec even to the spirits we read, they say that the spiritism came to change the world culture,
Mhm.
to change. So we spiritists, we had this kind of duty of changing a little bit in ourselves to make the difference, right? For people to have on us some kind of spirits and the spiritualists all over the world, because we have notion and evidence of things that many people just don't dream of having, right?
Mhm.
So it's something that's serious. And many times several times, I was even asked not to say this kind of truth or that kind of truth because of the interests of the society where I was taking part in. And so it's hard work.
Serious. Yeah.
Serious situation.
Yep. Thank you, Luis. Maria?
About your question, I think that the people will change the world. Are we?
We are?
Yeah.
Who we?
Who? Everyone. that believe in God, that believe in something bigger than the things we can touch, we can bring, and the people that believe in honest, that have ethical attitudes, and that's a good guy. Don't need to be a great scientist and a famous philosophy. Yeah, famous philosophy. We can make the difference in life. The people is around us. If I make the difference in the people's life that are perto, esqueci como é que eu falo em inglês, near me,
Okay.
I can change the world. I will change the world of these people. Right?
Yeah, I like the analogy you used a minute ago when you said we are like the cells for the body. So if we are in a good health as a cells, if we are in a good health, if we are doing what we are supposed to be doing, then the body, the whole body is going to be healthy.
Yes.
So on the other hand, if we are not doing well, then the body is sick. So yeah, I kind of agree with you. Whoever is studying now, whoever is doing the homework of checking on inside and checking on each one of us what we need to do or what we need to change, then yeah, we can make the difference. If I'll tell you my ambitious goals until my sons, if I can
Anna,
make a little bit of change in those two individuals, I'll be so happy.
Anna, you make a difference in our lives that stay here in this meeting.
No, not me. You guys do, because you guys are here to study, right?
Yeah, but I hand my hand because we have a good question of Lucas here in the chat, and I want, I think that you and Luis maybe can answer to Lucas better. The question is very a good question. I think that's very important to talk about this. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so I'll let Hyacinth go first, and
No,
then
it's okay.
I'll
Let
go back
Lucas,
to
let
Lucas.
Lucas talk.
Okay, so Lucas, do you want to?
Yes, hi.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, also, I'm from Germany. I'm living in Germany, and I would just like to know if it would have an impact if the greater part of a society has no beliefs more in God or in an afterlife, if there is such an impact, or it's not important. If it's only important to be a good person, for example. That is what I would like to know.
Okay, Luis, do you want to answer that? Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm not. So I'm just thinking together with him. Thank you, Lucas, for the question. We were some meetings ago. We were talking about this kind of problem. That it seems that things are getting worse. But the problem is, it had been predicted long ago that today, these days, we would be living the mass generations of people, a massive number of people on Earth. Many people would reincarnate to start learning, and this would cause some chaotic situations, right? And that's what it's causing. One of the problems is that the movement that in the Middle Ages, the medieval ages, right? People lived very blind faith moments. And of course, the opposite was going to happen. Mostly in Europe, people don't like the idea of God, don't like the idea of religion. They just, and even in the United States, it happens. But because of all the wrongdoings, right, people did, right? In the last 1,500 years. But of course, this is going to pass. Science is going to come to the conclusion, for example, that life after death exists, right? Just like any kind of open-minded scientist that studies about this stuff. Even Ian Stevenson, he studied a lot about previous lives of children, memories in children. He came to the conclusion that something that is real, right? So, of course, in terms of culture, we maybe will still swing from this point to that point all the time, right? All the other way around, because of, you know, the movements of society, of the mass movements we're living. But one day, the truth will come up and humanity will have to, how can I say, to decline, right?
Yeah.
To that kind of truth, right? Well, Allan Kardec used to say something very interesting to his opponents when they talked about very opposite points of view. He said, if you're right, I'll be by your side sooner or later. If I'm right, this is going to be the opposite, right? You'll be by my side. And that's why the spirituality and religiousness has to have a foot on science. Right?
Exactly.
On the spiritual paradigm science. And we invite you to do this kind of study, because this is something of a personal pathway you have to, because public is still kind of away from all this truth because of this situation Gloria has just said. People want to do something good. We want to show, for example, I have a spiritist channel, it's called the Spirit Connection, right? The views of my videos are so small in terms of number, right? But if you do something very kind of silly, billions of views.
Billions of people.
So that's the situation of society, a very superficial, very on the surface of things, which is a very a true consequence of materialistic view, right?
Exactly.
But okay.
And that's what I was about to say also, Luis. To Lucas' point, I'd like to ask him, do you know how Spiritism came up, and when? Do you know how Allan Kardec came up to the idea of putting the books together, all this knowledge together? Do you know by chance?
Yes, also I already have all his books.
Okay.
And almost all books of Chico Javier. I don't know the history. I even watched the movie, and I know what kind of society Kardec lives during his lifetimes. It was
Yeah.
most,
So if you remember, so Allan Kardec, he was an atheist himself, and I mean, he was not sure of what was going on. He thought that all those turning tables, etc., was you know, somebody was faking or doing something.
yeah.
So, but what happened was, at that point of time in society, when the society was not going in the right, I don't want to go with the politics over here, but when society was not going towards the right path, so all those turning tables, they came along, and then they called attention to so many very known and reputable scientists and philosophers and educators, etc., etc. So then we came up with the knowledge that we have today. So to Luis' points, I guess in response to those folks that still do not believe or still deny the existence of afterlife, that's what's going on. So what Maria said and Luis said, we have so many doctors, so many psychologists, so many therapists, and, you know, people of science, the true science, that is really turning to the other side and accepting the idea of existence of the afterlife. So at some point, those folks that will create what we call a critical mass. And then I don't think that will be another alternative, but for those folks still living in denial to at least start thinking about it. But somebody mentioned over here, it's not going to happen, you know, maybe not in this lifetime, and maybe it will take, you know, some existences, but at some point that will be a change, I believe. Mauricio?
Sorry, yeah. I was just gonna say that, yeah, eventually it will happen. It will come. It will become like a revelation. I just don't think it's gonna happen any quick because
No.
the world's not ready for it yet. So yeah, I think it has to, because it's something that I don't see how it could possibly be broadcasted suddenly. You know, somebody discovered the afterlife and prove it technically.
No,
I think there's going to be a long transition of more indications that are not tangible until we get to something concrete.
yeah, yeah, and I agree with you. Yeah. Hi, Safe.
But I do think that more people now are believing in the afterlife than they ever did. Because a lot of people are writing their experiences. People are sort of coming back and they're transmitting. For example, St. Stephen, you know that experience, talking with a group of people over a 7-year period, and he is talking about being in the afterlife, having been here. So a lot of that's going on. It's probably not being published, but there's a lot going on.
Yeah, agree. It's happening. Yeah. We never had so many books about it, right? So
Okay, no politics,
it's a
please.
good thing. Yeah, Lucas, please go ahead.
Mauricio, perhaps you could introduce him to the Victor Zamet's Afterlife Report, because there he would see that so many people, respected scientists, so now, so to say, because they're having the experience.
Yep. Thank you, Hyacinth. So Maurice, I do not know if you know the Wendy Zamet group, but they hold a meeting every Sunday afternoon, and it's very interesting, very nice. So it's for everybody. I will send you guys the link because I do have that link.
Okay. I'm just saying, maybe I didn't get my message across correctly. I'm not saying I don't believe, I'm just saying that the majority of the population of humankind right now is not ready for it.
It's not right.
Yeah, thank you. Lucas, please, you have.
Yes, to the thing before, yes, I'm trying to imagine what it would be like if the German society, which is a society of denying of the afterlife, not all people, of course, but the most part, what it would be like if they would see evidence which they can't deny anymore. I think in that case, the German society would completely implode in itself, like, you know, like a house of cards, no? So it would implode in it because it's not. It's, I mean, we have here a materialistic society. That's the thing. Of course, still around half about of all Germans belong to a church, Catholic or Protestant church, but these are just numbers of papers. maybe around 10% or 12% of all people here are in some way or another religious or believe in God or have heaven and afterlife and so on. I think if we would have such a belief in afterlife, like in Brazil, for example, I think that people here couldn't handle it.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, I think it's like we said, it's a matter of time. Sometimes we know we have the knowledge, like I believe the folks in Germany do, but until you do not feel the need of internalizing, of getting that knowledge to the heart, then you will not feel motivated to change, I guess. Okay, so if we continue to, oh yeah, so this was the last question for progress of societal legislation, and now we are starting with influence of spiritism on progress. And I will, yeah, it's 411 over here. So this is going to be our last one. So
Anna,
7.
we've just discussed 798 at length. So if you like, we could move on to the next one because he doesn't change anything. I mean, everything he says in his answers is what we've just been discussing.
Okay, yeah. Do you mind if I read it? Yeah, thank you. Because I did it. So 798, will Spiritism become a widespread belief? Yeah. Or will it continue to only be accepted by the minority? And evidently it will definitely become a widespread belief. And the reason why we have this answer, or the spirits, they say that, is because really that is a natural law, right? So it's not something, it's not because we, the human being, we want, but because it's a natural law. As a matter of fact, I remember when the Fox sisters, you guys know about the Fox sisters, right? The American, actually they were Canadian. Once they started channeling those messages back in 1858, something like this, no, 1843, in US, Hydesville, once they started channeling some of the, or some of the messages from the spirits, there was this message that they channeled, and again, this was back in 1840s, okay? And the note, let me see if I have over here. The note was saying, let's see. Yeah. So this, and this is a message that is believed that it was sent by Benjamin Franklin. So again, 1843, the very beginning of spiritualism in America. And the message says, "Dear friends, you must proclaim this truth to the world. It is the dawn of a new era, and you must not try to hide it any longer. When you have done your duty, God will protect you, and the good spirits will watch over you." So this was at the very, very beginning, back in 1800s. And so we know that, yeah, the spiritism or spiritualism is here, and it's here to stay, and there is no way back. So, Maria, sorry, you have your hand raised before we adjourn for the day.
Okay. I think that we can make a question. If will Spiritism be the religion in the future or the future of religions? It's different because for the discussion of this theme, if Spiritism will be the religion of the future, the only religion of humanity, or if it will be the future of the religions. That is, if religions will adopt the fundamental principles. That's right?
Mhm.
Principles. We initially bring Allan Kardec's thought of subject. The codifier, this will talk about this in his book, Genesis, when he talks about the emergence of the new generation due to entry of the earth into the conditions of world of regeneration. He says, fraternity must be the cornerstone of the new social order, but there is no real, solid, and effective fraternity if it is not based on an unescapable foundation. The basis is faith, not faith in this or that particular dogmas, with change with the times and peoples, and which mutually stone one another. Science anatomizing one another. But faith is fundamental principles that everyone can accept and will accept. God, the soul, the future, indefinitive individual progress, the perpetuity of relationships between beings, when all men are a people that believe beside us for eternity.
Maria, are you reading the Spirit book?
No, I'm reading
the Genesis. Yeah,
Genesis.
Yes. The Genesis. Yeah.
Yes.
So she's reading the Genesis.
Genesis. You can explain which book is this?
Yeah, Genesis is one of the 5 books from Allan Kardec, and is the one that actually explains the first part of the Spirit's book. Explains everything, the creation and the, so
Okay.
yeah. And yeah, very nice. My question is, does it have to be a religion? I mean, it doesn't need to be, right? A religion.
I think, Anna, that which one of the religions will find the way to understand life after life, reincarnation, God, the God's law, and to practice this knowledge, cada da sua maneira.
Everyone, it's his own
Yes.
pace and journey. Yeah. All right, thank you, Maria. Folks, 4:19 here in Houston, so I'll call out the day. Thank you for meeting today with us, and I hope to see you next Saturday, but remember, daylight saving, so 1 hour ahead, okay? So see you,
Bye-bye.
folks.
Thank you very much.
Anna,
Yes,
Anna.
Anna.
Anna,
yes,
would you send the Victor Zamet afterlife report to Mauricio? Then he can.
yes, there is a link to it on the chat.
No, but if you just send him, it would be
Yeah.
easy. Then he has it.
Yes, sure.
Thank you.
See you
Okay.
guys. Talk to you later.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye. Have a nice week.
Bye, Lucas. See you next week.
Yes, of course, I will be there. Goodbye.
Bye.